The new Star Wars film, Episode 7, entitled The Force Awakens, is now available in the UK on DVD and Blu-ray. To be honest, I'm not much of a cinema goer. I prefer waiting to see any of these movies either on Sky Movies and the movie channels, or if I'm really interested, and I'm genuinely interested, of course, on DVD or Blu-ray, depending on how I feel about the film. Some I'll like Star Wars, I'll put out the little bit extra money and buy it on Blu-ray. Sometimes I just buy it on DVD. There's actually limited edition covers for or sleeves for the Star Wars. There's the light side or there's the dark side, which I plumped for. I just thought it looked a little bit better. There's not much. There's no difference to it other than the cardboard piece of cover, and then you get the Blu-ray cover as usual. That you can probably see that better there. That's the cover, as everybody knows. It's pretty much practically the poster that's been up. Now, I did know some of the stuff that happens in this film before I watched the DVD, because to be honest, these days, if you're online, even watching television, you can't avoid some of the spoilers. So I knew some of the stuff that happened in this film before I even bought the DVD, bought the Blu-ray even. Like I said, I'm really not much of a cinema goer. I know a lot of people have already discussed, but I wanted to give my thoughts, obviously, on this film and my thoughts on the reawakening of the franchise. Like I said, we see that the real new establishment of new Star Wars characters and actors. Daisy Ridley as Rey, John Boyega as Finn, who starts off as Stormtrooper FN2187. We see Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, the main villain of this film. Very Darth Vader inspired, and we get to know why. Certainly very Darth Vader inspired in the presentation. We do see a little bit of internal struggle, and I'll discuss that shortly, but I don't know, I wanted a little bit more understanding of that character in this film. He does show, and that's one of the things that I thought when I was watching it. He is a bit different to his grandfather. His grandfather, if something went wrong, obviously we would see him using the dark side and choking somebody, killing somebody. He actually takes his lightsaber out and destroys a workstation, a workstation that he is standing next to. He takes his lightsaber and smashes it. I know some people didn't agree with the design of his lightsaber, but with the the kind of almost T-square design. But that's what. Also, lightsabers are based on swords, and traditionally in swords you have those kind of guards, so that even if your blade doesn't block your opponent's sword, then you've got those kind of guards which you can hopefully maybe use to try and divert the sword. Well, I think it's actually a good touch to him. It's something different rather than the normal just single kind of column of a lightsaber. Like it's set 30 years after the events of the original film, so it's not a prequel, it's actually a sequel to the original films. The previous prequels that we saw, the previous trilogy, was obviously telling the story of how Anakin Walker became Darth Vader, and you do get to see the influence of Darth Vader on Kylo Ren, as he has Darth Vader's kind of melted, crushed helmet in his, I don't know, you call it a bedroom or the private room. It's difficult to know what you really call it on those kind of ships, but generally in his private quarters he has Vader's a helmet. I don't know whether we'll see whether he has anything else of Darth Vader's. The first 45 to 50 minutes of this film, which lasts about 2 hours and 10 minutes, is certainly the establishment of these new characters. We see Rey and we see Rey as a scavenger on Jakku. We see how she gets involved with the drone BB-8. We see her getting involved with Finn, who helps Oscar Isaac, who is Poe Dameron in the film. That's how Finn gets into the film. this thing is something unusual. It's anything that's been done before. Certainly not in the movies. I've not really kept an eye on any of the animated series of a stormtrooper. He's not one of the clone ones, that's made obvious. So he has kind of his own thinking, and you see certainly the effect. I don't know whether it looks like a female stormtrooper. I don't know whether that's one that he's been in love with. That kind of aspect's not really explained, but he sees some stormtroopers killed. I think it's partly his first battle, his first real action, and he disagrees with it, and he helps Poe Dameron escape from the stormtroopers ship. And there, obviously, it's real shown from showing Rey in the market and her work as a scavenger, and to showing Finn on the stormtroopers ship. It really has a lot of kind of classic Star Wars atmosphere and kind of backgrounds and scenery. So you really get the kind of reinitialization, the emergence of the Star Wars universe. Then after the first 45 to 50 minutes, we see it's kind of almost a stage. We see the first stage, almost half of the movie. We see the young characters, the new ones that will have to carry the franchise forward into what I believe may be a trilogy. I know they're filming episode 8 right now, which will not be out till Christmas next year, Christmas of 2017. It won't be out till but after that first 45-50 minutes, we get to see like Harrison Ford, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, now called General Leia, and to be honest, this film could most easily be called not The Force Awakens, but kind of like the Star Trek film The Search for Spock. It could easily be called The Search for Luke. I'm not going to go through it scene by scene, so people can watch it, but like I said, it does reintroduce plans to familiar Star Wars universe very, very quickly. Stormtroopers, Finn and Rey stealing the Millennium Falcon, which leads them to Han Solo and Chewbacca. A lot of big push of feminism lately in the world of entertainment. I don't know whether this was planned or whether it just kind of happened that way, because I know it takes a couple of years to put the Star Wars films together, but Rey is certainly a very strong female character. When Finn is trying to help her escape from the market, from the stormtroopers, she's continually, I don't need your hand to run. I'm a pilot. If I can find, I can run by myself. I don't need to hold your hand. Finn says, "We've not got. How are we going to escape? We don't have a pilot." She says, "I'm a pilot." And she actually fights off a couple of stormtroopers in the market just before Finn can get to her and help her. Like I said, after that, and after the kind of introduction of those class characters, we see Kylo Ren, and we get to know a little bit more about him. I like to see a bit more of his background, and a bit more understanding about the characters. I mean, we do. I would like a bit more depth to be given to the character in episode 8. We do hear about him a bit more in the film, but just over halfway through, he is revealed as Han Solo's son. Like I kind of knew that, because you can't avoid spoilers and the promotional stuff. We all you hear about things, especially in a huge movie like the new Star Wars. It took me a minute or so to realise that. Actually, hang on. If he's Han Solo's son, then that means he's Princess Leia's son. Was that blindingly obvious? If you really... I mean, I was kind of just more relaxed, not trying to think, oh, well, this fits in here, that fits in there. Because although I've watched the films, I do enjoy the films, I'm not really a real Star Wars kind of nerd that knows that, right, well, if he's this person, that means he's related to this, or he knows them, or he's the enemy of this, and they're the enemy of that. But I don't think it's blindingly obvious to people that means that being Han Solo's son means he's Princess Leia's son. Because, to be honest, let's be honest, Han Solo is supposed to be a bit of a kind of alpha male, maybe, I don't know what the exact phrase is, but sowing his seeds a lot of places around the universe, possibly a lot of maybe women in different ports. But you do get to see discussions later on between Leia and Han Solo about their son. So it is made obvious, if you're not quite understanding that who Kylo Ren is, that he is their son and obviously Luke's nephew. We do see his leader, Supreme Leader Snoke, in holographic form only, but we'll see him more in Episode 8 because he wants Kylo Ren to return to him to continue Ren's training. We'll see certainly a lot of that in the next film. We do see Ren also struggling with being in the dark side, but being pulled slightly towards the light side, towards the Jedi Force. I really hope that makes up a decent, if not the main story, a decent amount of the story or the struggles in Episode 8. I think that could be, I mean, I know we've seen that before with the prequels that we saw a few years ago, but I think it could be adding an interesting dimension to the films. One of the things that I knew about was that he kills Han Solo in the film. Different reports saying whether that was Harrison Ford would only come back if Han Solo died, which has been, I mean, again, with a lot of these different rumours, a lot of these things going on, a lot of these reports going on, I don't know whether that is actually genuinely true. To be honest, I would have maybe liked to have seen Han Solo's attempted influence as the story goes on, because I believe they're attempting to make this as a trilogy. I would actually like to see it spread towards a trilogy, even about halfway through. I think just after Kylo Ren had the conversation with Supreme Leader Snoke, where he said that your father is of course Han Solo, and obviously Ren knew this, of course. But during the time they had that discussion, I honestly thought, even when Finn and Rey were fighting off the TIE fighters in the Millennium Falcon, at that point I was thinking, well, this is going to be too big. This is always too major a film to be just one film. The story is too major to be just one film. May even be too big to be two films. And I believe, again, I don't know whether they've made anything official, but I believe they are looking to make this at least a trilogy. There is actually room for spin-offs and prequels, which I'll talk about shortly. Kylo Ren, like I said, getting back to Kylo Ren, was certainly he really more appears in the later stages of the film. Like I said, he kills his father Han Solo. Again, I'm not really sure whether that was the right path to go down. Again, whether that's Harrison Ford's decision, whether he wanted out. There is a documentary in the bonus disc of the Blu-ray, which I haven't actually watched. It's an hour and 10-minute long documentary, if I can see it, Secrets of the Force, Awakens, a Cinematic Journey. That's what it's called. I don't know, Harrison Ford, see the opening couple of minutes that I watched of that documentary before doing this video, he does seem very reluctant to revisit this role. I don't know why. Again, maybe he explains why in that documentary. Maybe I could find probably interviews online. Maybe that explains why he's a bit reluctant to. But it does seem he's not a huge fan of this franchise. Maybe he is. Maybe he just thinks it's the right road to go down, or maybe due to his age that to step aside and let the younger generation. I don't know, but just it seemed, from what I've heard, it was Harrison Ford's decision, which I would have liked to have seen him try and counsel his son, even if Kylo Ren rejects it, maybe to see Harrison Ford, obviously, maybe to try and kind of lure his son to the Jedi Force, to the light side, instead of remaining to the dark side in the next film, which I think will happen. We'll see more internal struggles of Kylo Ren in the next film, and his struggle to stay on the dark side. I think he clearly made the decision, and I know people are going to say that he clearly made the decision to stay with the dark side by murdering his father. Murdering his father, The dark side is obviously things like hate, and killing his father is certainly not an act of love, a positive emotion, a positive action, which is kind of Jedi Force, the light side. So obviously killing his father is supposed to be a statement that he is staying with the dark side, but I do hope again that he really has that continuing struggle into the next film. I think it could be a good one, because we didn't really see that with Darth Vader. Yeah, we saw the prequel again, how he became Darth Vader, but after that, because those films were written way after the original films where Darth Vader was just the villain, we saw Darth Vader as the villain. Yeah, okay, he kind of turned at the end when in his death, kind of letting Luke escape, really, but we didn't see we just saw that in the last scenes of Darth Vader, of him realising that this was his son, that what is he doing. It was a very quick turnaround. I would like to see the struggle go on for Kylo Ren. We didn't see that for Darth Vader. It'd be good to see. However, the First Order, which Kylo Ren represents and is a high-ranking official of, I like to see him struggle with the continuing actions of the First Order, to see all of this going on, but have that struggle of, yes, I killed my father, I chose the dark side, but I'm still got this pull towards the light side and the pull towards my family. Chewbacca is the one who shoots Kylo Ren right after he kills Han Solo. That kind of got me to thinking late last night, in the film he wears the outfit and the helmet by choice. We see a very, not a lot of these movies, there is, to me, no wasted shots. And when I wasted shots, but where the camera points at one place in particular, like at a bush or at a tree or at another person, and later on you kind of get the payoff for that. There's a deliberate shot, obviously, of blood that is dripped from Kylo Ren. He battles through the pain, battles through the injury in the last kind of like 20 minutes 15-20 minutes of the movie after being shot by Chewbacca. He fights through the pain, but we see a deliberate shot of blood on the ground and blood actually dripping out of Kylo Ren, and actually him. I'm a professional wrestling fan, so in wrestling there's the term selling. I don't know what term actors use, but selling is where you're supposed to be injured, so you act like you're injured, basically. And he was obviously given that, far better than I could, but holding his side, grunting in pain, really using a lot of strength to continue battling with Finn, and then with in his confrontation with Rey. Will we see him use more kind of Darth Vader style technology? Or will it just a flesh wound when Chewbacca shot him? Chewbacca seemed to catch kind of the side of him. Was it just a wound where the newer technology 30 years on can cure Kylo Ren and heal it up? Or will we see him relying on a more technological outfit reminiscent of his grandfather Darth Vader in Episode 8? I don't know. That'd be a good thing to see. I'm kind of torn whether to see him use a suit or use some kind of technology like his grandfather, or just have him wear the outfit and wear the mask by choice, as he seemed to have done in this movie. Very familiar themes in this movie. I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. Instead of the Death Star, there was the Star Killer base, which is kind of a huge weaponized planet. Actually, again, one of the advantages of modern day filmmaking, you can use a lot of CGI, a lot of more advanced technology, which actually, of course, there is the suspension of disbelief, because we know that there is no real Millennium Falcon. It's all computer animated. But the animations on this film are fantastic. The graphics, everything like that, it just obviously Lucasfilm, Industrial Light and Magic, they have always been the industry leaders in that kind of environment. And you see, actually, if you Google it, you can see a lot of films that have actually used Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas's film, on their films, and even some of the films that you wouldn't even think that ILM had anything to do with. There are a few on there, and you let people Google that for themselves. So we get to see the Star Killer base. I kind of rolled my eyes because it's very reminiscent like the original Star Wars films. But maybe that was intentional to kind of familiarise people with the Star Wars universe, and be very familiar to people's mind that this is Star Wars. Actually, one of the good things, it could take down several planets, which was demonstrated, and it needed several reactors taken out instead of the Death Star's one weak point that we saw a couple of times in the original films. Also, very reminiscent themes in the villain being taken on by a very young, inexperienced, quote-unquote Jedi in Finn. Kylo Ren is obviously advanced in his training, but again, training not complete as well. So we see Finn take on Ren. It was actually a good sequence of the using the lightsabers to both set each other alight at a couple of points. And obviously we saw, I think the last time we saw Finn, he seemed quite injured. I'm assuming he'll probably be up and about by the time of the start of episode 8. Again, other familiarities: the Skywalker family dynamics, the First Order versus the Resistance, and young heroes trying to find their way and place in the universe. So very familiar themes to it. If you sit down, it's not, like I said, J.J. Abrams directed it, it wasn't George Lucas, but several, if you sat down and watched it, you can tell this is not a complete, you can tell it's a Star Wars film. It's not like it's not like Disney have bought Lucasfilm and then gone off a completely different tangent, and it's not recognisable as a Star Wars film. It is very recognisable as a Star Wars film in its stylistics, not just the characters and the acting. There are a few things in this film, though, I will have to say before I give my final thoughts on it. There are a few kind of nods and winks to the previous films. Rey and Finn, they know the story. It's almost a kind of, breaking the fourth wall, as they say in entertainment. It's kind of almost an acknowledgement of it's like the whole real world knows Star Wars, or at least they've watched the movies, or they know the story of them, or at least know about Star Wars a little bit. It's almost like that. It's no surprise really when you think about it logically. There's this huge battle between good and evil going on in the universe. Of course, if something like that was happening, we'd all know about it. We'd all probably hear about, this happened and that happened. It's like World War. It'd be reported in newspapers, or however information is given around in the Star Wars universe. We'd all know about the rebels destroyed this base or that base, or the rebels were captured and killed here, and there was a big battle there. Obviously, everybody would know about it, but there is a bit of a. I don't think it came across as too much of overconfidence thing. As like, oh, we're Star Wars, everybody knows about Star Wars kind of thing. It didn't come across that to me. It just came across maybe it came across like that to other people, like, oh, this is Star Wars, everybody knows the story of Star Wars. But it seemed to be honest, it was a bit logical. Everybody knew what had happened in these previous 6 films that we'd already seen, because Rey and Finn, they knew. It was kind of almost kind of nod, wink thing, that they knew the previous stories of what had happened in that universe. The next film, to be honest, my thoughts on it, the next film needs to be a bit different. I don't want to see another kind of Death Star, Star Killer base, or just more training to be completed, and then the battle between the heroes. The return of Luke, who was seen at the end, will hopefully add a different aspect to the story. and I'm sure the explanation of who Rey is will come as well. Her use of the Force, although we saw several very, very young Jedi being trained in the training academy when Anakin killed a lot of children in I think it's the final prequel. We really got the hint that Rey was and is a Skywalker. That's what my thought was. Whether she's Leia and Solo's daughter, possibly. I would say more slightly, probably maybe Luke's daughter. Whether he knows about her or not, I don't know. Again, that's what I was saying about Kylo Ren. Maybe it took a moment to kind of realise, oh, that must be Princess Leia's son as well. And as I said, they had the conversation later in the movie, so kind of really to state it, make it blindingly obvious to everybody that is both of their son again. Han Solo, maybe a girl in different ports, maybe mixed with different women and on different worlds, and maybe, who knows, maybe he has other children. Maybe we'll see other kind of siblings of Kylo Ren in the film. Maybe we'll find out that maybe Han Solo on all this time has had other kids, and maybe they hear of the father's death and come to help the Resistance. To be honest, that's a bit of maybe a far out idea, maybe a bit too much of a reach, but we'll see. Who knows how they'll go and change the story, because I would like to see some kind of twist, some kind of more angle that's not been seen in Star Wars before. Like I said, there's room for a couple of prequels. The story of Kylo Ren, we hear that he was sent away by Han Solo and Leia to train with Luke, with his uncle. The story of how and why he became a part of the dark side and why he turned on Luke could be an interesting movie to see. I believe we could see a movie about Oscar Isaac's character Poe Dameron, or Dameron. He's apparently the very best pilot in the Resistance. Maybe we could see a story of how he became that, and what the Resistance have been up to for the last 30 years. So, to be honest, I think Poe Dameron might be set for a bigger role in the movies next time, and I kind of like to see it. Kind of like to see more. I mean, obviously, we got the traditional different pilots on the attack at the end of this, on the attack at the Starkiller base. We saw different pilots. As usual in Star Wars. In the Star Wars film previously, there's been some quite famous. I thought I recognised one or two faces of the pilots. I'd have to go back and check it whether they were actually famous, because I know from the bonuses there were a few people that won kind of spots in the movie. I'd have to go back and see whether there was any famous faces amongst the pilots, but. Like I said, there's a couple of prequels that could be taken, a couple of films. Maybe we'll get them as flashbacks. What the Resistance has been up to in the last 30 years, the turning of Kylo Ren on Luke, and why Luke, where Luke has been. Even Luke ran away, and actually, ironically, from what I did searching on the website after the film, one of the final scenes where Rey hands Luke his lightsaber was actually filmed on an island off the coast of Ireland. So he ran away kind of technically to Ireland. Maybe we'll see him. Maybe Luke has been on an adventure we don't know about. Maybe apparently he was on a quest to find the very first Jedi temple. Maybe he got into something, and maybe something happened to him that we'll see. Again, there's a whole range of prequels, spin-off movies that is possible. Maybe that's deliberate. I don't know. Without knowing of what the creative direction of these films are, it's impossible to say. It's impossible to say really whether these are deliberate spacing, so they could do a movie here about this. We could maybe do a movie about that, or maybe it's just spaces that just happened naturally. Maybe okay, we had to send Luke needs to be out of this. We need to say him. Okay, he's been away for the last 30 years, and that therefore that 30-year space of where Luke has been created. Has he been fighting? Has he just been on that island, or wherever it's planet or wherever it's supposed to be? I don't know. That might be a film we will see, and obviously we'd have to see. To be honest, I couldn't see Mark Hamill being a part of that film. We'd probably see a younger Luke Skywalker, another character play Luke Skywalker in that film, to be honest. So, to be honest, basically, I think it's a good film. I think it worked. Like I said, it's to fans of Star Wars. I think we can. I think they can say, I'm a bit fan of Star Wars. I've watched the movies. Like I said, I've not kept up with everything. I don't know every statistic, every person, every character, every background, every nuance of the characters and of the films. I would say certainly it's very recognisable as a Star Wars film. The atmosphere, the stylistics is very well done. It's not as if it's like I said, Disney have taken over and they've gone on a completely different tangent. So it's Star Wars in name only. It's not, in my opinion. It's Star Wars in the whole entire. I think it is an acceptable Star Wars film. It's very enjoyable. Like I said, 2 hours 10 minutes. To me, it felt slightly long. To me, I've only watched it once. I'm gonna go back and watch it in the next couple of days. The pacing was slightly elongated, in my opinion. Maybe it could have been done in maybe just about an hour and a half, maybe just over an hour and a half. But overall, it's a good film. Good performances. Daisy Ridley is good, very good in her role. John Boyega, he was okay. Like I said, again, the performances I'm going to really pay attention to in my next viewing of the film. I thought he was good. Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, putting up a decent performance. A bit two-dimensional, in my opinion, but like I said, we'll hopefully get more exploration of that character, of his background, even his thoughts and his opinions. Maybe we'll get in flashback rather than a separate movie of his turning on Luke. And with the return of Luke Skywalker, hopefully we'll see those kind of aspects explained or looked at in episode 8. So it's a very good film. I'd recommend people seeing it, buying it on DVD, Blu-ray, or if they want to wait till it comes on a movie channel. I think it's worth watching. I think it's very enjoyable. I would say it's a good adage to the Star Wars kind of collection of films. Certainly good. A lot of places. I didn't go into this movie looking for any continuality kind of continuity. Oh, I can't remember words, but the spaces and holes in the plot, or holes and that guy was there and that guy is now there. How he could be there? I wasn't really watching it looking for problems. I wasn't watching it looking for continuity issues. That's the word, continuity issues. I wasn't really looking for that. Again, I'll maybe watch it 2 or 3 times and see what I think of it further, but a very enjoyable film. I thought it was some good performances. Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford, their roles in the film were limited. I think that obviously kind of they're trying to move to the next generation of actors and characters, so that kind of helped. Like I said, the first about half of the movie we see the new generation dominate and really put the movie puts the focus on them. What's coming up in episode 8? Hopefully we'll get more explanation of some of these characters and the backgrounds. Like I said, I think Rey is a Skywalker. I think we'll see how she plays into everything explained, hopefully in the next film. We did see her getting a bit of a memory flashback when she grabbed Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from the vault. Again, it's a good film. I'm going to go back and watch it and see. And obviously, in a lot of these films, you look back, you go back, watch it several times, and you notice things that you didn't notice in your original viewing. So I look forward to going back, watching the movie a couple of times, and seeing things that perhaps I didn't. Perhaps some plot lines, some characters, some perhaps things that may pay off in episode 8 or episode 9, because again I believe they are going to be making this a trilogy. For the Blu-ray X, as I said, 1 hour 10 minute long documentary, Secrets of the Force Awakens, a cinematic journey which features interviews with the cast and crew. Plus you also on the second Blu-ray disc get 4 to 10 minute long featurettes, including highlights of the table read of the script, how they made creatures and crafting creatures, building BB-8, and also a look at the charitable initiative that I think between Disney and Lucasfilm have set up called Force for Change, which actually seems, again, to us watching that featurette, it seemed, are they maybe kind of trying to cash in the Star Wars film? But seriously, if they're going to, if they're really going to support good works and support worthwhile kind of other charities and charitable initiatives, it can only obviously be a very good thing. So Star Wars, I don't know whether to rate this. I would say maybe a good 7 or 8 out of 10. Maybe slightly long for me. Maybe a little bit too familiar themes with the Star Killer base. Too much, maybe a little bit like the Death Star. I would like to see them have a little bit more of a different approach to, maybe a gigantic. The gigantic weapon thing is done so much in science fiction, fantasy movies, but overall enjoyable. I look forward to episode 8. The bad thing is we are going to have to wait well over a year now for episode 8 to even be in the cinemas. Did it make me think of maybe going to see episode 8 if episode 8 was to be out very, very soon, within a couple of months? To be honest, yeah, it made me think if episode 8 was going to be out very soon, I could really go and see it in the cinemas. Will they be, will Star Wars kind of be a victim of this lengthy period between films? Possibly, but again, with modern technology, with digital copies, Blu-ray, DVDs, people can easily go back, watch the whole entire Star Wars films before they go and watch episode 8 in the cinemas at Christmas next year. But overall, a very enjoyable film. Certainly, I think a very good addition to the Star Wars universe and to the Star Wars collection of films. I look forward to seeing episode 8 and seeing how the storylines and characters develop and see what twists and turns. Hopefully there will be some twists and turns that we haven't seen before in the next film, and like I said, I believe they're aiming to make this a trilogy, so it will be good to see where they pick up in the next film and to see where they want the storyline to develop. Certainly a lot of changes actually go through this film. Again, the next generation of characters and actors is very much the main story I think that fans will take away from this movie. Definitely. Like I said, changing characters, changing situations, and changing the universe. Will we see it? What will we see? But more understanding with characters in the next film. I certainly hope so. But again, this is a Star Wars. A Force Awakens is a very good addition to the Star Wars film collection, and I think if people haven't watched it by now in the cinema on DVD and Blu-ray, I think they'll enjoy it. I think it's a good addition to the Star Wars universe. I think the makers and cast and crew, I think, can be proud of what they did. I think it's very well put together, and I look forward to seeing how the story continues in episode 8 in about a year's time.